Well, I'll start by talking about the past. Where we are today is because of what happened in the past. The past contributes a lot to where we are today. And my dad is a storyteller. And he raised me for the most part. And when I was growing up, one of the stories that was really fascinating me is a story about my grandfather. My grandfather was a chief in the Nyakyusa land. And he had 6 wives. So when we go visit him, his house is over here. He just walks around. Another wife is over there. The houses are around. He's not staying with them in the same house, but he built houses around his main house. And then in the evenings, they sit together, have a meal with some of the children. So in terms of children, there were 36 children, including my father, and 1/3 of them were women. My grandfather believed that women should just be wives and take care of children and stay at home. So it's a waste of resources to educate them. If they get education, how would they use this education if they're just at home taking care of children and just cooking, which is just basic education that they learn from their mothers as well. So it's a waste of resources. He was not investing in that. But he tried a little bit to invest in the men, but also for the men, you just educate them. If you can make it, yes, but if not, you stay at home, take care of the cattle, and then take the generation to the next level. So for that case, I was really fascinated by that story. For him, he had only 1 wife, which for his father was like, are you serious? Just one? Are you sure? Just one child? I mean, 1 wife? And for him, his narrative changed because he managed to get to university where he got to see and he got exposed more in terms of the way he thinks. So he had 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. I'm the second born. So for him, out of the stories, he always tried to tell us what we learned from the story. So for him, the story about his father, his pickup point was, for me, I'll educate all of you equally. Why is that? Because all of you, you have equal chances. So this is him reflecting from his sisters, who are my aunts, how they missed out opportunity into the world after they end up not studying, basically. So for that case, also it got me reflecting. So when I was in standard 4, we moved from Mbeya and we moved to Dar es Salaam to a very small community by that time. It's in Pugu. And I got myself some friends. One of my very good friends was a girl, Zubeda. Yeah. So Zubeda was a very good friend of mine, standard 4, not even a teenager yet. We played together, cracked some jokes together. And one more thing was we studied together. Because for me, there was so much pressure to focus on school because my dad really believed school is the way to go. So that kind of influenced my friend Zubeda. So we were studying together, standard 4, standard 5, standard 7, big milestone, the first time that you need to pass to go to secondary school. And by that time, secondary schools were few. So to pass to go to secondary school, when I'm saying by that time it was 2002, to go to secondary school, it's a competition to get a chance to get a school. So we did the exam, like prepared for it, did the exam, and then after that, we passed. Me and Zubeda was part of the crew, as the previous speaker just shared before, almost like very small, because we were like 22 out of a class of 60 people who passed. So Zubeda was one of them, so we were very excited. She went to another school in Dar es Salaam, and I was in another school in Dar es Salaam. 6 months down the line, Zubeda got pregnant. And that was the end of education, because I'm saying the end because since that she dropped out, and then by that time it was a law for 30 years. The dude ran away, who was responsible for the pregnancy. At the end of the day, he came back later, and then now they're married, they're having 3 children. And that for me was a very sad story because I was believing in seeing Zubeda as well being in a higher level because she had so much potential. So from the story of Zubeda, we get to see that she did not have bad luck. And it's not like she was dumb. She was smart, and she did not have bad luck. What happened to her was the narrative that she had from her family. She was raised by a single mother with 8 children. 2 of her sisters were married when they were teenagers, and they have 6 children. And they're all single mothers as well. She was the last one who managed to go to secondary school. But again, her brain, the stories that she'd been told affected her together with other factors to get her to get pregnant. So just because she did not continue school, that means access to education for her was small. She missed out in a lot of opportunities in today's world, and her potential was a waste. So stories that we hear, they affect us so much. Since we started, the first 3 speakers, what they did basically was sharing the stories, and most of the stories were to inspire and to change the narrative of believing that there's a possibility of a female to have equal chances as a male. It's just that to have a platform to be able to flourish. So I came across this quote by a singer, Lauryn Hill. She said, "In my travels all over the world, I've come to realize that what distinguished one child from another is not the ability. Zubeda is not that she did not have the ability, but access to education, access to opportunity, and access to love." So I work with a studio called Thai Plus, and we work also with the NGO called Thai Tanzania. So what we do is basically we tell stories using technology. So we combine storytelling and technology to create content that are telling stories to people to inspire them so that they change the narrative that are existing that affects their lives. So to create a positive change, stories has so much power. We heard the story of Her Excellence Pamela. It's something that I was really fascinated. It's content that once it's out there now, you're lucky to be sitting here that she shared that. But if this story was documented and digitally being told to reach much more people, it could inspire generations and generations. So we believe that the power of videos, the power of films, the power of audio drama, the power of comic books, stories, telling stories, is what can inspire the generations. So we tell stories. I talked about Harakati Zangeti, which is a series telling stories about a girl. So this is basically a girl to make her a role model for people to look at, for the other girls to look at. And then inside there we have characters like Zongwe. Zongwe is a male character who supports women, he for she. So to inspire other male to take a lead into supporting the girls. And you have aunts who are against, they have pre-existing mentality. To have them challenge other aunts who have bad thinking about supporting women. So we have different characters. At the end of the day, each one will just reflect from the character that resonates with them to inspire them to change their narrative, and at the end of the day, to contribute to the generation equality. We see in this image, this is Ngeti, who fought for, she's living in Ngorongoro, so she fought for her right to make sure that gender-based violence is not stopping her to lead as well as to graduate from school to chase her dreams. So from this story, we were able to go to places like Ngorongoro. We went to screen the films, and the way everybody could reflect, they could not see before, they could not see themselves being in that position because it's not something that's already pre-existing. But culture is what is bringing them down. But now after seeing the film, they see possibility and hope to change their lives and to contribute to the next generation. So there is so many stories within ourselves right here. Apart from the people who have been speaking, even yourself, you're sitting over there, you have something that you have done in your community. You have something you want to do in your community. There is a story that affects you. Don't sit back with your story. You are an African girl, you are an African woman with a strong story inside of you. Don't stay with that story. Let's tell our stories. Thank you.